How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Flesh and Blood video here on Red Zone Rogue. Today we're going to talk about some upcoming Dusk Till Dawn lore, dive into a bit of previous Monarch and Tales of Aria lore, specifically Tales of Aria, not as much Monarch, and kind of tie a bunch of stuff together, and I think it's just super interesting. And we're going to ask the question, is Lexi gonna be in Dusk Till Dawn? Because we have evidence that says maybe Lexi's gonna be in Dusk Till Dawn, even though we're expecting some Monarch stuff. So there's some really exciting things to talk about, and they all basically coalesce in this singular image. And now, this is an image that I saw before, but I had only seen it really in like the trailers and all that kind of stuff. But as pointed out to me on the most recent Living Legends podcast, that this has some extra little bits, and I highly recommend watching the previous Living Legends podcast. It's just Az and I, and we have just a great time talking about a lot of stuff. I think it's one of our more underviewed ones, so just definitely go check it out. It's really good, if I don't say so myself. But yeah, anyway, so we're going to talk about this here in today's video. Before we do that, of course, if you like what I do, please consider subscribing to the channel. Hey, it's free. Great way to support me. If you don't want to put in, you don't have to use your wallet. You just click the subscribe, and it's great. And maybe you can like the video and comment. It's all good. But you know what? If you'd like some really cool merch, or if you'd like to join my Discord or Patreon or any of that kind of stuff, channel memberships, we have emotes and all this good stuff. All that is down below. Lots of ways to support if you like what I do and want to, help me keep doing what I do. So let's actually dive into this now. So we have the image here, and we're going to go over this image, but we have a bunch of other stuff to talk about. I think the first thing we should do is actually just go over this image, and then we can supplement that with other pictures and all that kind of stuff. So this is the key art for Dusk Till Dawn. So that's really important that you know that is specifically for Dusk Till Dawn. This isn't just a generic piece of artwork. It's specifically for that set, and that's really going to tie into why I think Lexi, and actually maybe Oldhim, are going to be in this set. But I'm more excited about Lexi. Oldhim, jog on. Oldhim's fine. But anyway, let's show this off. So we have the piece here. Let's look at the middle panel first, because I think this is the most obvious one, right? So here we have the middle panel. We have a troop of soldiers, right? There's some of them that have swords, some of them have spears. We have a character kind of here in the center that has a staff, some sort of mage. But as we go into the focal point in the center here, we have the city of Solana, which is bright, radiant, and almost on fire. Like, you can see this motif here. We have this radiant light jetting forth, but it's like almost looks like flames. And here at the center, leading all of the people to the promised land, as it were, we have a character that is Prism. This is basically Prism here. And below Prism, we have another figure here to her right, and that is Shiana. It's almost 100% Shiana. We have a similar outfit, but we also have the long white hair. And then to the left of Shiana, we have another character here that's almost 100% Dorinthia. So now we have these three characters, these three like main focal points, which I think are going to be prominent figures in Dusk Till Dawn. For at least this particular side, the side of Solana, right? So I expect to see these. I don't think that's a surprise. Everyone expects that. And then we have here over on the right panel, we have, front and foremost, we have Sir Bolton, another character that's like pretty obvious, right? Bolton, Solana, it's a thing. And then we have a bunch of other soldiers here that are pretty nondescript. Up top, we have 4 figures here, and we actually know who these figures are, and I will provide proof that we know exactly who these figures are, because they have appeared on cards already, and they have distinguishing features to show which ones are which for the most part. And then opposite of this image, we have 4 more figures. They're 4 companion figures, and once again, we know exactly who these figures are, and I expect all 8 of these figures to appear in Dusk Till Dawn to some degree, probably on their own cards, but maybe we'll see. We'll see if they have a bigger role to play. But the most important thing that I want to talk about here is on the bottom of the left panel. And you have a bunch of soldiers here, but you also have a couple characters that are quite distinct. So here on the far left, we have Oldhim. This is like 1,000,000% Oldhim. This is just, it's just Oldhim. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Next to Oldhim, we have a character that looks like they're the character from the, I don't think this is Yorick. I don't think this is Briar. Definitely not Briar's hair color. Unless they have like a black hood or something like that. It's hard to tell with this art style. But, yeah, that is 100%, you know, a character. I think it's the character from is it called Spring Blossom? Or it's the Blossom of Spring. I think it's called the Blossom of Spring. I think it's that character, right? But what I want to talk about the most is Lexi here. Obviously, this is Lexi right here in the middle. She's holding Voltaire. That is Lexi's outfit. 100% Lexi. So this is Lexi and Oldhim in this piece of artwork. And right, why would Lexi and Oldhim be in this piece of art? And you could just be like, oh, maybe it's like a flavor thing. Maybe they're there. I'm going to ask you this. Why would they be in the Dusk Till Dawn key art if they weren't in the Dusk Till Dawn set to some degree, or at least in the lore? But I have a feeling that we're going to see them in the set, maybe through specific cards or something like that, but maybe new heroes? I don't know. We'll see. That's maybe asking a little too much, but this is clear indication that Lexi and Oldhim are going to be in Dusk Till Dawn. And you might ask yourself, wait, aren't they from Aria? Why are they here in Solana? Well, in the lore, they're actually traveling, trying to seek help for, basically, they're seeking aid for Aria against the Waking Old Ones, an enemy that Oldhim had battled in the past. Oldhim is actually from the past, and he was slumbering for a long time, and he woke up and he basically said that if I'm awake, then the Old Ones will surely follow. And so they're ragtag group of adventurers. Oldhim, you know what? Actually, I have a reference here. So here we have a grand adventure. So this is the story that tells of Yorick. Yes, the bard Yorick. Lexi's kind of like the center character, but she kind of picks up some other main characters as we go. Oldhim and Briar. And I'm not going to read the whole thing here. It's quite long. If you'd like to find it, it is called A Tale of Adventure. You can search for it on the Flesh and Blood website. It is quite hard to find there. But you could also go to this website that I'm looking at. That's called legendarystories.net. And it has all of the Flesh and Blood lore categorized. The person who runs the site does a great job. But long story short, we have Lexi, we have Yorick. And they kind of just go through this thing where, you know, hey, look, we're going to find some ancient glyphs or whatever. They talks about, prophecies, the coming Old One, Oldhim, and then, he's like, yo, we need to go save Aria. And so they go, they find Briar. I think he calls her the Rosetta. Yeah, I highly recommend reading this. It's really interesting. The lore in Flesh and Blood is great, but I want to make this a pretty snappy video. Here they're like, oh, we need to go find a secret society. And then they're like, where do we go? And they go to Everfest. And this actually all sets up Everfest, right? And here they are going to go to Everfest, right? It has the characters here. Oldhim, Lexi, Briar, and Yorick, right? And we really haven't seen much of them since then. We actually haven't seen exactly what they do at Everfest, but presumably it leads them to Solana, because we do also know that the people of Solana are seeking assistance as well. And here we have another piece of lore here. This is Morlock Hill, and this is where we see the battle of Solana versus the Monastery, right? And we have Dorinthia here, and Dorinthia basically becomes, like everyone says, like a Super Saiyan. She is battling demons, these impossible odds. It just shows how strong she is. She sees one of her mentors fall before her. Here we have Minerva here. And basically Dorinthia is fighting what is more or less a necromancer, right? All hope is lost. The necromancer is going to, destroy Minerva. And then here we have Dorinthia. I think this is actually a really key piece too, that sets up what Dorinthia could become. It's very heavily hinting that Dorinthia could become a light hero here. We could have another light warrior in Dorinthia. And then here we have her, running the necromancer through. I will spoil it here. She doesn't actually kill the necromancer. Wounds the necromancer, but they basically slink back into a portal. So we could see this necromancer character at some point, maybe even in Dusk Till Dawn, actually. And then here we have Dorinthia talking to Bolton, and they're like, yo, the rifts are closed for now, but we need to go get help. And that's kind of what this all ends with. They need to go seek aid because they want to fight against the Demonastery. And this all actually ties into the overarching narrative of Flesh and Blood, which has to do with the Old Ones, these otherworldly beings that are bent on dominating humanity, right? It is heavily implied that Sol, the, quote, god of Solana, is in fact an Old One. And that's the reason why Chain wants to assault Solana. Now we can talk about whether the means or the ends justify the means, massacring all these people to do so. But Chain really believes that Sol will spell the doom for humanity. He's doing this to save all of humanity, right? Kind of like, gotta crack some eggs to make an omelet kind of thing. That's an ugly expression, but, so yeah, all of this is set up, right? I highly recommend reading all of this. This one is called Morlock Hill. Once again, Flesh and Blood has some excellent lore, and after this, it kind of just jumps straight into Uprising. We do have one more mention of the folks of Solana, and that is going to be Tidings in the Light. And now, this is one that I've talked about before. This one's all about Shiana, and she is returning from Volcor with news. And we have Bolton here. Bolton is still, trying to find aid for Solana. Once again, I'm not going to go over the whole thing. This actually it paints the Solanian hierarchy, the Solanian leaders, in a very sinister light. And I'm going to use the word light with a capital L, right? Like, the light itself seems to be very sinister, forcibly burning away her individuality and her, free thoughts kind of thing. So yeah, and they also mention Apocalypta, which is a cult, a death cult in the pits. This is how you tie to outsiders. Apocalypta is in the pits. They're the ones behind the plagues in the pits. There's also a sleeping old one, the old one of chaos underneath the pits. It all ties together. All this stuff ties together. If you'd like me to go really in depth into all this stuff, please let me know, because I'm not sure if lore videos would do very well. I do have some plans to do some general ones, but yeah, please let me know. I could do much more scripted ones. So this is kind of like an unscripted, off-the-cuff kind of thing. We'll have some things I want to talk about. In Soul We Trust. In Soul We Trust, answers Shiana without doubt, without thought. This is like before here where she gets her what is it called? Here, I will try to find it. It's pretty gnarly, actually. Yeah, they turn to, so this is the Grand Magister, one of the members of the High Council of Solana, these folks right here. I do believe we have some here that are like, one of these is one of the new Judge promo card, like Therion. Anyway, I think I really want to focus on this particular paragraph that says, the Grand Magister's words shatter the silence like the sun breaking through a mantle of cloud. They turn to Shiana, their blazing eyes searing through Shiana's mind. Her petty ego scurries and squirms, trying to hide, trying to escape the steadfast's ineluctable gaze. It cannot. One by one, her precious anxieties melt away, exuded in iridescence. She is forged anew, impurities exorcised, a servant, an instrument devoted to the glory of soul. This, to me, is not a positive thing. This, to me, is like, this is red flags. This is alarms going off. It's like, no. Please don't exercise my, please don't exercise myself, So, anyway, yeah, so there's that. This is the last time we heard about characters from Soul. and all of this kind of good stuff. I think it's really setting up for some big stuff going forward, and I want to make a video entirely about what I think about this. But jumping on from that, let's talk about these characters here. Because these characters here, in my opinion, well, not even in my opinion, we've already seen one of them. These characters will be in From Dusk Till Dawn, I think, in some form or another. These are the angels, the heralds, that Prism has manifested before. And so we have seen Soraya. Soraya is actually the angel from Herald of Erudition, and you can tell by her orb of light. Right? She has this orb of light, but she also has a very, distinct motif. In this one, she's wearing more of a cloaked appearance here, but she still has the orb. She still has the same markings on her face, the hair color, all of that stuff. And that character is the character right here to the far left with the orb. And now we have the other angels as well. So let's kind of go through them one by one. Here we have the Herald of Judgment. You can tell by their scales here and the blindfold. Another character right here, blindfold, scales. Here we have another figure. This one has this kind of like jagged crown that kind of overtakes their eyes. Herald of Triumph, jagged crown overtaking their eyes right there. And I'm not entirely sure which this one is. This one has kind of like long wavy hair with like maybe flowers in their hair. This one might be the Herald of this one right here. I think this might be the Herald of Rebirth because it also has the flowers in the hair. Right, so Herald of Rebirth right here. And then on the other side, we have several masked heralds. So let's see. We have the Herald of the Wartune Herald here, which has this kind of like spiked halo and a blazing visage with this mask. And I would say we have a blazing visage here, kind of like second to the right, just looks like that fire hair with a mask, right? And then we have this other mask. Most of these actually have masks. Let's pull up another herald here. So we have the Herald of Protection. This one has kind of a mask with a very long, large headpiece. We don't see the exact one here, but I do suspect that one of these is the Herald of Protection. Let's see. Here's another pretty obvious one. Herald of Tenacity. Once again, mask with a large headpiece. And then we have over here, mask with headpiece. Could be the one to the far right, possibly. And let's see, what are the other heralds that we have not touched upon yet? Oh yes, the Herald of Ravages. This is one that we do know which herald this is actually. I do believe the Herald of Ravages is the first one here to the far left here, and that one is actually the one that is from Dusk Till Dawn that we've seen already. If I can pull up, let's go to articles. And let's go to Dusk Till Dawn, and we'll pull up that angel. Because we have seen it. We have seen it. It is this one. Bellona, the Archangel of War. And so Archangel of War is the Herald of Ravages. You can see a similar motif with the hair and the kind of like the golden armor here. And that's kind of what we see here. And once again, I do believe that one is this one right here. And the other two are these two masked ones. It's hard to tell which one's which, right? But yeah, so these are all the heralds. They will be in Dusk Till Dawn, I believe, in some degree. And if these are all in Dusk Till Dawn, then why is Lexi here? Lexi is in Dusk Till Dawn, and that's kind of like the whole thing with this video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. It makes sense for the lore, right? Lexi and Oldhim are seeking aid to help, Arya battle against the Old Ones. Solana is also seeking aid, so maybe it's a situation where the adventurers from Arya come to Solana's aid in exchange for assistance in their own homeland. And I think Flesh and Blood is really setting up this very large-scale Avenger-esque event where everything comes together, all of the regions, to battle against the Old Ones. Is it going to happen here? No. Actually, I think this is not going to happen until we see every single region in the world of Wraith. And I think each region has its own Old One. Like, for example, we know there's an Old One sleeping underneath Mount Volcor that the Emperor was quelling with his powers. Now that the Emperor is dead, well, that Old One is sure to wake up. We don't know what's going on with Mysteria. We don't know what's going on with the Savage Lands. But we do know there is an Old One underneath the pits, the God of Chaos. or the Old One of Chaos. You can use these terms interchangeably. The Aesir is what they're called. The Aesir and Old One, you can use that interchangeably, right? That's why the Emperor is the Durkai of Aesir. He's the one who, you know, quells the Aesir underneath Volkor. So really cool stuff. Love the Flesh and Blood lore. Highly recommend checking all this stuff out. Thank you for sticking around this long. Highly recommend checking out this website, legendarystories.net. I really hope the folks over at Legend Story Studios put all of the articles that they have in a similar fashion like this. That's kind of like characterized or categorized over on the main site, because currently it's very hard to find. They did, I think, recently add a lore section here, but it just has the heroes and the World of Wraith. And when you click a World of Wraith, it's just kind of like you have like a quick oversee of all the regions. Like you can click on Aria, and then it just kind of gives you an overview of Aria, but it doesn't give you links to all of the stories and all of that kind of stuff going forward, or previous, or going forward. And I think that that's really good going forward, if they just have all of the stories and people can follow along with the story and just read all of it, and they're very easy to find. In fact, it was very hard for me to find these particular stories, because I didn't remember what they were called, and it's like impossible to search for them. In particular, I was really trying to find the Grand Adventure story here, because I had read it a long time ago, but it's like buried in the Flesh and Blood website. So yeah. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think of the Flesh and Blood lore. If you think Oldhim and Lexi are going to be in Dusk Till Dawn, well, I think there's a really good chance. And we'll see you next time.